The 2024 U.S. presidential election is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated and consequential in recent history. From healthcare to climate policy, from the economy to foreign relations, this election will set the course for America's immediate future. But what might the country actually look like in 2025, depending on who wins? Today we'll explore some possible outcomes and discuss the potential changes awaiting America after this historic vote. Before we get started, remember to hit like and subscribe for more insights on current events and political analysis. Your support helps us bring you in-depth content on the issues shaping our world. The economy, jobs, inflation, and taxes. One of the biggest concerns on voters' minds is the economy. No matter who takes office in 2025, economic policy will be front and center. Here are a few predictions. If a Democrat wins, we might expect a continuation or even expansion of current economic policies focusing on wage growth, small business support, and progressive tax reform. This could mean tax increases for corporations and wealthier individuals, aimed at funding social programs. On the other hand, a Republican administration would likely focus on tax cuts and deregulation, emphasizing business incentives, especially for energy and technology sectors. With lower taxes, Republicans hope to stimulate private sector growth, which could create jobs but might also deepen the national debt if not carefully managed. For consumers, inflation control will remain a priority. Both parties are expected to focus on controlling inflation, but their approaches differ. A Democratic administration might aim for stronger price controls and policies targeting healthcare and housing costs. A Republican-led government might rely more on interest rate adjustments and deregulation to stabilize prices. Climate policy, renewable energy versus traditional energy. Climate change is a polarizing topic in U.S. politics, and 2025 could see significant shifts in policy depending on the election outcome. If a Democrat takes office, we might see an accelerated shift toward green energy. This could include expanded investment in solar, wind, and electric vehicle infrastructure, as well as stricter emissions regulations for industries. Climate legislation, like a potential revival or expansion of the Green New Deal, could incentivize companies and households to adopt renewable energy, making sustainability a national focus. However, under a Republican administration, traditional energy sources like oil, coal, and natural gas could receive more support. Policies may focus on energy independence through increased domestic production and reduced environmental regulations on fossil fuel industries. While some renewable energy incentives might continue, the emphasis would likely be on a more gradual transition. Healthcare, access, and affordability. Healthcare will continue to be a central issue in 2024. With rising costs, both parties aim to make healthcare more affordable, though their methods differ. If Democrats hold or win the presidency, we might see an expansion of the Affordable Care Act, with increased subsidies to reduce costs for low and middle-income families. Medicare for all or a public option could also come into focus, aiming to cover more Americans without private insurance. In contrast, a Republican administration might push for more privatized healthcare options, allowing for increased competition among insurers. This approach would likely prioritize choice and flexibility, but could reduce federal oversight, potentially leaving high-risk individuals with fewer options. Republicans may also advocate for health savings accounts to empower individuals to save for medical expenses tax-free. Immigration remains one of the most divisive issues, with each party having vastly different approaches. If Democrats win, we could see a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants and continued support for DACA, aiming to stabilize the legal status of long-term residents. The Democratic platform would likely focus on streamlining immigration processes, improving conditions at detention facilities, and promoting immigrant integration into the workforce. A Republican administration, however, would likely emphasize stronger border control and enforcement, with policies aimed at reducing illegal immigration. This could involve enhanced border security measures, including more physical barriers, technological surveillance, and strict immigration caps. Republicans might also seek to reduce visa numbers and tighten asylum regulations. Education policy may look very different depending on who wins the 2024 election, with strong differences in curriculum and funding. A Democratic administration would likely prioritize increased funding for public schools, higher teacher salaries, and more accessible higher education. Plans for student debt relief, like expanded forgiveness programs, could be on the agenda, along with emphasis on STEM and climate education. On the other hand, Republicans might promote school choice and voucher programs, giving parents the option to send children to private or charter schools using public funding. They might also focus on local control over curriculums, with emphasis on traditional subjects over federally mandated programs. For higher education, Republican policies might lean toward workforce-ready programs and reduced federal student loan involvement. Foreign policy, allies, and adversaries. The direction of U.S. foreign policy will depend heavily on the next administration's priorities and vision. A Democratic administration would likely continue to focus on global alliances and multilateralism, working closely with NATO, the United Nations, and climate alliances like the Paris Agreement. This could mean more diplomatic engagements with allies and sustained sanctions or restrictions on countries like Russia and China. If a Republican wins, foreign policy could shift toward a more America-first approach, with an emphasis on strengthening U.S. military capabilities and negotiating trade agreements that prioritize American businesses. This could mean fewer international agreements, with a focus on securing U.S. interests in Asia and reducing reliance on foreign energy or goods. Gun control, balancing rights and safety. Gun control will likely be a hot topic in 2024, with each party proposing very different solutions. A Democratic administration would likely push for universal background checks, red flag laws, and restrictions on assault weapons. The focus would be on increasing regulations to curb gun violence, particularly in urban areas. In contrast, Republicans generally support Second Amendment rights and may prioritize laws that protect gun ownership. A Republican-led government would likely promote gun rights through national reciprocity laws and oppose strict federal regulations, focusing instead on mental health initiatives and school security. Viewer engagement questions. What policy areas do you think will be the most important in the 2024 election? And which potential changes do you believe would most impact daily life in America by 2025? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As we look ahead to the 2024 election, it's clear that America's path forward will be shaped by this vote. Each possible administration brings different visions for the economy, climate, healthcare, and beyond. Whether you support one party or the other, this election is about more than policies. It's about the future of American society. If you found this overview helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay updated on the latest political insights. Thanks for watching, and let's keep the conversation going on what lies ahead for America in 2025.